Our health is creating hell on earth. If you take a look in the old days, let's go back 100 years, 150 years, and I can also look at this from my own grandparents, my great-grandparents. They were tall, strong men and women that looked after 8 children. They had a house. They did their own vegetable patches and fruit trees in their gardens. They didn't have what we have today with the supermarkets, with the malls. They had nothing like that. They were more physical. They were more in tune with working in reality. They were more in tune with their bodies. They were more in tune with the state of their mentality. They had to go through things that none of us ever have to go through at the current moment. They went through world wars. They went through traveling across continents, finding new homes, establishing themselves. And they only had a small diet. And yet they were able to keep themselves healthy, strong, fit, and capable. Much more intelligent today. Our education system is failing us badly. So now today, when you go on Facebook, if you go on YouTube, if you go on Twitter, what do you see? You see suddenly there's this increase of unhealthiness. Everyone is so unhealthy. Everyone needs a new type of food, nutrition, minerals. And you see all these advertisements for superfoods, for superfruits, for new diets, for smoothies, for new different ways of eating, how to eat, what diets to go on. Now I want you to consider back in the day, they didn't have these options. Yet they were who they were. Our great-grandparents, our grandparents, and they did what they did with a very limited small diet. Alright, this is if they had that diet. I'm not talking about Great Depression. I'm not talking about those situations that deteriorated entire countries. I'm talking about when everything was stable and okay and moving. Then you could have seen that these people, for example, my grandparents, they lived into their 80s, right? Without having all the medical problems we have, without having all the nonsense we have today of being unhealthy and healthy. They ate their vegetables, they ate their rice, they ate their meat, they ate their potatoes, they ate their basic food. Today when you go on the internet and you see superfoods, there is suddenly a new berry, there's suddenly you need avos every day, suddenly you need all of these different things. You can go and look for yourself. It's called superfoods. Suddenly you have all these extra things that we need to be healthy. And we are not even going through or doing what our great-grandparents did and our grandparents did. We're not even at all in the same reality as what they lived in. And they lived in a tougher reality. So why do we need more? Why do we need to have more healthy foods? And now I want to get to my point. Imagine there is 1 billion people on Facebook, 1 billion people on YouTube, 1 billion people on Twitter. And tomorrow they advertise there's a new berry that has 50 nutritional values inside of it and you need to eat this berry. Imagine out of those billions of people, only 50 million people suddenly decide they want to have this berry every single day. What is the impact of that decision from 50 million people on our planet? Do they really need that berry? Isn't that just a way of marketing to make more profits and money in a capitalistic system that is all about making profits? Is it really because you need it? Is it really because you're lacking it? What if it is our lifestyles that need to change? What if it is the world system that needs to change and it's got nothing to do with our food? What if we could live off the basic food that we already have been living off for 100, 150 years? But only our method of growing our food needs to change. We do not need to eat more and have more. Because if you take a look at where all these new sudden superfoods and superfruits come from, they're not having a positive impact on our planet. The same for meat. We also need to reduce on our meat and our fishing. We need to reduce the way we think we need to eat and what we need to eat. And we need to start focusing more on getting in tune with reality. We need to get more in tune with our bodies, with exercise. We need to get more in tune with understanding that our mentality, our psychological status of ourselves have an effect on our body more than what food will have an effect on us. We need to understand that how we're doing agriculture needs to change. Corn isn't unhealthy, it's how we grow corn, how much we eat corn. An apple isn't changing its health status unless the soil is unhealthy because of pesticides, because of what seeds they're using. So it's not about how many different foods you can eat every single day to get 20 million different types of nutrients and minerals in. That is a consumer product that they're using, and they're using it to instill fear in you that you are lacking something, that you need something. And therefore you're buying, buying, buying. And this is having an impact on our forests, our soil, our water, which there is a limited amount of water on this planet that we can all consume. If you take a look at where they're growing almonds, for example, in California, if you see California now with the fires, the drought they've had, do you know how much water it takes to grow one almond? When did this become a hype? 150 years ago, no one had an option for almonds. No one cared about almonds when they were traveling. All they had was their dried fruit, their dried bread, and their dried meat, and their milk from their cows as they're traveling with their herd and the cattle. So we have to truly start considering, when are we being driven by fear of health, and through that fear consuming, purchasing, and instilling an industry that goes out and makes sure they supply to us because they're making money, even at the cost of cutting down ancient forests, destroying habitats, drying out land for water to grow these fruits and vegetables that was never needed. It just became a new thing. It's because it's of capitalism, money, the economy. That's what people care about. They don't really care about your health. And they know that the food they have been growing for you has been growing in a very unsustainable way. So they know the food is not nutritious, and therefore they can sell you all these new nutritious things. But all we need to actually change is go back to how we're growing food, change how we treat the soil, and our food will have the nutritional value back. Instead of focusing on destroying more and more of our planet to plant more and more nutritional things, we will have the same results in 50 years, 100 years, where those foods also become non-nutritional because of how we're using the land. And not just that, we won't have forests left, we won't have habitats, clean water, we won't have water left, because we'll be sucking the earth dry. Because we're not changing how we're doing things, we're rather changing where we're doing things. And that's a problem. So when you are on the internet and you see a new berry, avocado, whatever they are advertising, coconut oil, don't just jump in and say, I need this. Research, find out, do you actually need it? Because capitalism is using fear to get you to buy. And they will make sure you fear that you lack, that you are not healthy enough, and that you cannot heal yourself, that you don't have to look at your own psychological and mental status. And they will make sure that you go out and buy, and they don't care about destroying the planet. They care about profit and greed. So, find out from your nutritionist, find out on the internet where else can you get it. Is there already products in the supermarket, fruits and vegetables already exist that you can buy and eat? Don't go and look for the new super stuff. I mean, the word itself, superfoods, is a selling word. It's not a real word. They made it up. What is the point of living a healthy, long life in an unhealthy planet that's dying? Is our health worth creating hell? This is Guillaume from Earth Haven. Thank you very much.